negative $25,000. Now, get this, that wasn't his net worth. That was his monthly cash flow around month 13. He was bleeding money. This was the moment his entire world just came crashing down around him.
So you got to be wondering, how on earth did he get to this point? I mean, that's a serious hole to be in. And the thing is, it wasn't just one bad decision. It was more like a perfect storm of financial disasters that all decided to show up to the party at the exact same time. I mean, look at this list. First, boom, his main HVAC van just dies. That's an $18,000 hit right there. Then a tenant absolutely destroys one of his rental units. Another $7,000 in repairs. At the same time, his solar commission side hustle completely dries up. He burns through every penny of his reserves and, under the sheer weight of all this stress, his health just gives out. He was completely exhausted, buried in debt, and honestly, on the absolute verge of quitting.
And right there, at his absolute lowest point, he gets a call from his dad, and his father says something that just changes everything. He reminded Marcus that his own grandfather died just 3 months after retiring, with only $18,000 to his name. And in that moment, Marcus had this profound realization. This whole quest, it wasn't just about him escaping a 9-to-5. It was about honoring his grandfather's sacrifice. It was about making the climb his grandfather never got the chance to. Okay, so with this new fire, this new sense of purpose, his entire strategy shifts. It's a total pivot. He stops just trying to work harder and starts working smarter. He realized he had to stop being the engine of his business and start building an engine that could run without him.
And this right here, this is that fundamental shift in action. He went from the grind, we're talking 85-hour weeks, total burnout, an income that was all over the place, and him having to do everything, to the system. Suddenly, he's working 50 hours a week, things are automated, cash flow is stable, and most importantly, he has a team running the day-to-day operations. He was no longer the bottleneck.
And you know what? The results were pretty staggering. By month 18, he'd managed to buy another business, and his net worth had more than tripled to over $300,000. Amazing, right? But that $1 million goal, it still felt impossibly far away. He knew he needed a catalyst. He needed one big, game-changing move to get him there.
And that brings us to his all-in bet. What Marcus did next was, well, it was truly audacious. He decided to push all his chips to the center of the table.
$780,000? That was the price tag for a portfolio of 4 rental properties he found. And here's the kicker, it was money he absolutely 100% did not have. I mean, not even close.
But, you see, he had something more valuable than cash at that point, a proven track record. He leveraged that, all of it, to convince an investor named Patricia to fund the entire deal. And listen to what she told him. "I'm not investing in the properties, I'm investing in you. Don't make me regret it." Can you imagine that pressure? The bet wasn't on the real estate. The bet was entirely on him.
You'd think that would be the big win, right? Wrong. The ink was barely dry on those contracts when his world imploded. Again. It felt like déjà vu, but worse. Everything that could possibly go wrong absolutely did.
Just look at this cascade of failures. A new tenant in one of the new properties stops paying rent almost immediately. His main HVAC business loses a huge client. One of the landscaping trucks gets into an accident. And then, the cherry on top, his reliable consulting gig that was bringing in cash, it ends early. It was another, even worse, perfect storm. And just like that, poof, he was back in the red, bleeding $1,200 every single month. This was the true crucible. I mean, for real. This is the moment that breaks most people. The first time was bad, but this is where you find out what you're really made of. But Marcus, he didn't break. Instead, he became what you can only call radically resourceful. He's out there handling the eviction and doing repairs with his own 2 hands. He's on the phone renegotiating every single vendor contract. He picks up a temporary consulting gig just for some quick cash. He even, get this, moves into one of his own vacant, unrenovated units so he can rent out his personal space for extra income. It was desperate, it was exhausting, but it worked. He stopped the bleeding. So, after surviving that second brutal brush with disaster, the clock finally runs out. Day 729 arrives. It's time for the final tally. This is the moment of truth. So let's look at the top line first, the assets. By the end of his 2-year crucible, he was in control of over $1.5 million in businesses and properties. I mean, that is an absolutely incredible figure. But of course, that's not the whole story. After you subtract all his debts, all his liabilities, his final net worth was $355,000. Now don't get me wrong, that is a huge accomplishment. But by the black and white metric of his original $1 million goal, he had failed.
But then his accountant showed him the number that really mattered, the number that changed everything. $14,900. That was his positive cash flow every single month.
And his accountant put it perfectly. He said, "You didn't fail. You're just reading the wrong scoreboard." And that, right there, is the real victory. See, Marcus hadn't just built a pile of wealth. He had built a machine that was spitting out nearly $180,000 a year in cash, all while his assets just kept growing in value in the background.
And in the end, on day 731, looking back, Marcus realized something profound. The goal was never really about the $1 million number. It was about becoming the kind of person who was capable of achieving it. The journey itself had forged him into someone new, someone stronger. So, I think the crucial takeaway from Marcus's entire story is this. The mountain is there, sure, but it's the climb, the challenge itself, that transforms the climber far more than just standing on the summit ever could. Which really leaves us all with one big question, doesn't it? The mountain is there. What's the first step on your climb?